Hey everybody, it's Christina Hawkins, and I wanted to give you a bit of an update on what's going on with care plans. We've been making some changes recently. This past year, one of our goals was to improve our customer service and deliverability and being able to answer tickets a little faster. The first initiative that we did was to hire a customer care plan manager. You may have already been talking to him. That's Davi. And if you have any questions, you can just email our support, and Davi's typically the one you're going to be talking to. The other initiative was to hire a full-time project manager, and that is Javier. So the two of them are keeping me on my toes. I can tell you in our Slack channels, they're constantly reminding me to check in and make sure that I'm answering my clients' questions. So I'm super happy to have those two on board. The next thing that I want to give you some notification on, if you haven't already noticed, we've been making updates to the email transaction service. And when we build websites, there is a kind of an in-between tool that we create connecting some of your website forms to your email. Typically, the problem that we have is your email system will block website forms because it does not recognize, or it doesn't recognize actually the IP address that your website is coming from. So what we have to do is use an email transaction service, and it kind of relays through that little firewall and then on into your email. The other great thing about it is we can track and relay what's happening between the website and your email. So if we find out that their email forms are not going through, we can go in through this service and we can kind of see a log of where did it break down. The problem is that we were using a cool tool called SendGrid for a very, very long time. It worked really well. It was free. But they've recently made some changes that we just couldn't use it anymore. They were starting to charge. So most of our clients' forms don't do over 10,000 a month, and so we decided to move out of that and into a service called Sendinblue. So you may have been getting a series of emails from Rebecca and Davi as they make that transition. If you haven't done that yet, be on the lookout. We try and use the Google account that we've created for you instead of your actual email. That way we're able to get in and out of it without having to bother you. The next thing that we did was go through, if you remember 2 years ago, a year ago, the big thing with Google was to make sure websites were encrypted. So we spent a lot of time going through all of our websites and adding an SSL encryption, that little lock on your browser. So that's pretty much done. And of course, every new website we build always has a lock now. The new thing that we're having to take a look at are the website performance, which really is all about delivering, where they're trying to make sure, which is all about delivering a great user experience on the web. And there's 3 areas that we want to make sure that we do. The first is a largest content paintful, which is measuring load performance, how quickly the site loads, especially that first screen, that first viewable screen. That's kind of, how long does it load before that first screen is completely loaded and you can see something. First input delay measures interactivity, and cumulative layout shift, it measures visual stability. So that's when, as it's loading, if things shift around as it's loading, that's not a good user experience, because if you wanted to touch something and all of a sudden it shifted, you're off doing something you didn't mean to do. So that's not a good experience. Those are kinds of things that we're looking at now. So obviously from this point forward, we build sites. If we redesign your site or redo it, that's what we're looking at. If you have a site that you find is loading really slowly, if you're on a care plan though, we're always looking to make sure that you are loading quickly. You might have to come back to us if we need to really take a look at these core web vitals. And this is really for sites that you're concerned about your organic rankings and how well you show up on the internet. It's still important from a user experience. It's a great tool to figure out if your website's user friendly, and you'll get some really great scores, kind of give you some heads up. If you look at Core Web Vitals and it'll give you a score, it can get a little confusing, so let me know if you have any questions about that. One thing to keep an eye out as we go through, finish out 2021, is keeping an eye on accessibility of your site. and as well as the legal pages. Accessibility is becoming a big thing right now. There's a lot of laws coming down, just like your legal pages, which are your privacy, your terms and conditions, and any disclaimers that you might put on the site. Super important to have those in place. We used to use like generic generators, but we don't recommend those anymore. With California, with Nevada, with some of these other states, I think Texas is coming down the pipeline when it comes to privacy. You really have to be very careful about what's on your privacy and terms and conditions. Even if you're just running a service site and you don't think about returns and cancellations, that's all part of your terms and conditions. It's not a contract per se, but if somebody needed to get a hold of you because they're unhappy with the product or they want their money back, that terms and conditions probably should have spelled out in some format what those rules are in your company, as well as how often you update them. We have a tool, it's called Termageddon. It's a auto-generated tool, but it's done by lawyers, and there's a series of questions that we answer, and it auto-generates privacy policies. And as laws change, we go back in and we adjust the questions and the answers. One example might be how long you keep customers' private information on the website. So you really shouldn't keep private information on there indefinitely. You should say maybe 2 weeks, a month, 30 days, whatever that is. You should display that in the privacy policy, and we should have a standard practice of those being removed. And again, it goes all the way back to the beginning of this video when I talked about email transactions. This is why it's super careful that we want to make sure all these emails are being sent to you securely, as well as the fact that you are getting them, because at some point we're going to have to set up those forms so that we are removing them off of your server at a certain point in time. The other is accessibility. This is becoming an issue. I don't know if you've heard recently, there was a big lawsuit with Domino's and their app. It was multi-million dollars, and the other party did win. So Domino's had to go back and redo their application. I don't know if there was any kind of settlement on that, but it cost them millions and millions of dollars. We've actually had one client come to us because they were being sued because their website wasn't accessible. So one thing is as we're building these sites out, there are some audits that we can incorporate to make sure that it isn't accessible. Not only that, but accessibility is also a great tool for SEO. You'd be surprised. They kind of mesh together, and I'm sure that was done on purpose. So if you have any questions about accessibility, we actually did a video with somebody that is very much involved in this. She has I'll put the link here in the description where she discusses the importance of accessibility. It was with the Houston WordPress meetup that I manage and host. So the last thing I want to bring to you guys' attention are some recent scams. What I've been noticing, there's two of them that I'm seeing. One is a woman, a man, whomever, is sending out a ton of emails and blog comments claiming that you have her photos on your website. Completely untrue. It's a scam. Don't worry about it. What she's trying to do is it's phishing. She's trying to get you to link and scare you. Every website we build is all using stock, is either using stock photos that we have license ability or your photos. So if you've provided us photos that you shouldn't have, maybe we'll have a discussion, but the scam that's going around, you shouldn't worry about it. I think I get this email about 2-3 times a month, and then about once a week on my website as a comment. Of course, nobody sees the comment, but so don't worry about that. The other is the phishing scam. So just be super careful. They're getting they're getting so good to making it look like PayPal or your bank, I've seen some coming through that look like USPS or UPS, that they're faxing you something, or they're giving you a receipt for your shipment. Just don't. Nowadays, any of these receipts in the log and what's happening are on a website. You can go to the site first. Don't click the link. Go to the site, open it up, and then track any information. Or go to wherever you go to Amazon and check there. But don't open up an email and click links that you're really not sure of. One thing you can do is hover over some of these and you can kind of see what the web address looks like, and I'll see if I can show that in this video and crop me out. But so those are just some updates that are happening, and I hope you all have a really great day. Let me know if you have any questions. Throw some comments in or send us an email. Thanks so much. Bye.